All right, here we go. Now it's live. Good. Now we live on the YouTube side. All right. We're live on the club deck side, clubhouse. All right, so we live on the club deck side. Club deck app. All right, so we ready?
Come.
All right, let's go to Jasher 81. We're going to the book of Jasher, chapter 81, and let's get verse 3 and 4. Jasher chapter 81. We're going to go verse 3 and verse 4. What are you going to go to? All right. All right, we got Jasher chapter 81, verse 3 and 4.
I'll take it.
All right, we're live for the microphone.
Con. Jasher chapter 81, starting at verse 3. And the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in the land of Egypt in hard labor was 210 years.
So Jasher is saying it's 210 years. Go ahead.
And at the end of 210 years, the Lord brought forth the children of Israel from Egypt with a strong hand.
Right. So Jasher giving us 210 years of the sojourn for the children of Israel. All right. Can we get Exodus chapter 12, verse 40? Let me start to share my screen too as well. We'll read this stuff up. We're gonna get Exodus chapter 12, and we're gonna get verse 40. Let me start to share this. I have
12? Yes, verse 40.
all right. Hold on, let me share my screen here. So we see here. This is the Septuagint version of the Masoretic text. So we have on the left hand side the Septuagint, and on the right hand side you would have the Bible, the Masoretic text. We're going to Exodus chapter 12, and we're going to read verse 40. Right? Let me highlight it here. All right, go ahead, brother.
So Exodus chapter 12, verse 40, and it reads, Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
So the Masoretic text has 430. Jasher has the sojourning there was 210. Right? Now we're gonna come over to the other side. I'm gonna read the other side over here from the Septuagint. Right? The Septuagint says, and the sojourning of the children of Israel while they sojourned in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, it says, was 430 years. So we see here the Septuagint has and the land of Canaan. Gives us both Egypt and Canaan, where the Masoretic text leaves out the part about Canaan. It completely leaves it out.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't in Egypt for 430 years complete. That would make no sense. It wasn't in Egypt 430 years. It also includes the land of Canaan. All right. Can we get Galatians chapter 3, verse 15 down to 18?
Call it one more time.
Galatians chapter 3, verse 15 through 18. Coming out to the Renewed Testament. Galatians chapter 3, verse 15 through 18. Right, so. So Jasher gives us 210. Exodus, Measure text gives us 430. Septuagint gives us 430, but it also adds the land of Canaan. And now we're going to read from Galatians chapter 3, start at verse 15.
Come. Galatians chapter 3, starting at verse 15. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's convenient covenant, yet if it be confirmed, no man disannulleth or addeth thereto.
Right, no one changes it, disannulled it, did away with it. Right? No one to add to it. Yeah, but man, I mean the covenant given to Abraham, right? Or a covenant made with Abraham. Go ahead.
Now to Abraham and his seeds were the promises made.
So the promises was made to Abraham and his seed. Go ahead.
He said not, and to seed as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Christ.
Right. So Paul is equating that the seed he's speaking of is the Christ. But we know Abraham's seed was Isaac. And Paul understanding it is on another level that, well, that seed is Christ, right? I go back into the whole reincarnation. And we're not dealing with that today, though, right? Go ahead.
Verse 17. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of God in Christ, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul that it should make the promise of non-effect.
Right. So Paul is saying after this was made with Abraham, all the way until the Exodus, meaning the giving of the law. Because when it came out, the Most High implemented his calendar, right? The Passover. Then he started implementing certain laws and different things. Then with the Sinai, got it codified on the stone. And you got the whole thing. So he said from there, from Abraham point of the covenant, all the way until the law given, Paul is saying 430 years, what he's given us. So we have two timelines there. We have the one from Galatians 430, Exodus and Measure text give us 430. Septuagint give us 430, but also says in the land of Canaan, giving us both. So we know that the Septuagint predates the Measure text.
That's why it's only saying 210. I mean, 2.
No, it's saying 430.
4, okay.
Yeah, but it's leaving out the land of Canaan. All right. So we have our study. So and Jasher gives us 210. So I'm saying Jasher is correct, but what is Jasher talking about? It's a situation. What is the two different time frames we're talking about? Right. We need to first let's deal with this since we got this 430. Deal with this 430 year calculation. We can deal with it. We got to come all the way down to Genesis chapter 12. Matter of fact, Genesis chapter 15. Let's get Genesis chapter 15. Let's start there. We're gonna be going to Jasher. We get some clarity in the situation too as well. For this, we're gonna go Genesis chapter 15, and we need to get to starting at verse 7. Genesis chapter 15, we can start at verse 7. 15, 7. You got it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 15, verse 7. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of the Chaldees to give thee this land and inherit it
So he calls him out of the Ur of the land of the Chaldees to give him this land. Okay. When did God exactly call Abraham out of Ur of the Chaldees? The Bible don't tell you exactly when and what age he called him out. We know that he did, right? We need to go to Jasher to get it. Can we get Jasher, the 13th chapter? Jasher chapter 13. Hold Genesis. We're gonna come to Genesis. Let's hold Genesis. Hold Genesis. We get our timeline down. Hold Genesis. Jasher, the 13th chapter, and we gotta come now. Starting at verse 5.
Jasher chapter 13, starting at verse 5.
Hold it. Go ahead.
Arise now, take thy wife and all belonging to thee, and go to the land of Canaan and remain there. And I will
You need the light?
no, it's just reading funny. And I will there be unto thee for a God, and I will bless thee. And Abram rose and took his wife and all belonging to him, and he went to the land of Canaan as the Lord had told him. And Abram was 55 years old when he went from Haran.
Right, so we do have it there, it says 50, but it's actually 55. It's 55, so the correction has been made. Again, with the book of Jasher, the actual text of the book of Jasher that they found, it was real mutilated and messed up.
Okay.
So they have to really try to piece stuff together. You help piece it together with other documents of the Bible with timelines. And the timeline itself in the book that you use, that's why we know that the 5 was missing. It says 50, but the 5 was missing because the text was so messed up. So no, it was 55. Because of the internal chronology of the book itself, showed them no, that's 55 that was there. So it's 55. So it's 50. So Abraham was called out of Ur of the Chaldeans at 55. All right. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Abram came to the land of Canaan and dwelt in the midst of the city. And he there pitched his tent amongst the children of Canaan, inhabitants of the land.
Go ahead.
And the Lord appeared to Abram when he came to the land of Canaan and said to him, this is the land which I gave unto thee and to thy seed after thee forever. And I will make thy seed like the stars of heaven, and I will give unto thy seed for an inheritance all the land which thou seest.
Go ahead.
And Abram built an altar in the place where God had spoken to him, and Abram there called upon the name of the Lord.
Right, so this is an angel we know that's coming to him and speaking the word of the Most High to him. All right. Verse 9.
At that time, at the end of 3 years of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, in that year, Noah died.
So Noah died in that year. So Abraham now would have to be 58, right? He came in at 55. 3 years later, he's 58. Go ahead.
Which was the 58th year of the life of Abram. And all the days that Noah lived were 950 years, and he died.
Right. So he's 3 years in the land. I want you to jump. No, keep going.
And Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, he, his wife, and all belonging to him, and all those that accompanied him, together with those that joined him for the people of the land. But and Terah, his father, and Lot, the son of Haran, and all belonging to them dwelt in Haran.
Right, so when they left, when Abraham left, the Chaldean, his mother, his father, his nephew Lot, they went to Haran. And he went down into Canaan, his wife and all of that belonging to him. All right, go ahead.
11. In the 5th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah and all the cities of the plain revolted from the power of Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, for all the king of the cities of the plain had served Chedorlaomer for 12 years and given him a yearly tax. But in those days, in the 13th year, they rebelled against him.
Right. That goes on. That's Genesis chapter 14. When they rebelled and now the kings are coming back to bring it back in order. That's our Genesis chapter 14. That chapter is dealing with there. And when they had done that, that's when they had went and took Lot. A lot had went on down into Sodom. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back into that to bring them back in order. I wanted to jump down to verse 17. Here we go. Hey, before you start, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to T Mal, Shabbat Shalom to Emmanuel.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Oh.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
Go ahead.
Verse 17. And it was in the 15th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, which is the 17th year of the life of Abram, and the Lord appeared to Abram in the year and he said to him, I am the Lord who brought thee out from Kasdim to give thee this land for an inheritance.
So now that's what Tony just read. What Tony just read right there was Abraham was what? 70. He was 15 years in the land. He came in at 55. 15 years later, he's what? 70 years old, right? And Tony just 70 years, he's 70 years old. Okay. Now, I want you to continue to read down Izar.
Con 18.
Con.
Verse 18. Now therefore walk before me and be perfect and keep my commandments. For to thee and to thy seed I will give this land for an inheritance from the river Mitzrayim unto the great river Euphrates.
Right. So we see when he first called him into the land at 55, there was like a waiting period of 15 years. He's going to see what's going on with Abraham in 15 years. And now we started to tell him we're not going to make this covenant with him. Right. So again, that's what the Bible say for many are called, but few chosen. But you can be called, and God is seeing how you going to use your call. What are you doing with it? Are you consistent, or are you back and forth, double-minded? Right. So he came in at 55 and he's all the way at 70. The Lord started to make this covenant with him. All right. Go ahead. 19.
And thou shalt come to thy fathers in peace, and I'm in good age. And the 4th generation shall return here in this land and shall inherit it forever. And Abram built an altar, and he called upon the name of the Lord who appeared to him, and he brought up sacrifices upon the altar to the Lord.
Go ahead.
At that time, Abram returned and went to Haran to see his father and mother and his father's household, and Abram his wife and all belonging to him returned to Haran, and Abram dwelt in Haran 5 years.
So now he's 75. He went back to Haran, he left to go back to Haran at 70. So when he went back to Haran, his father died, and he comes back to Canaan. And that's where Genesis 12 picks up the story when he comes back from Haran at 75. Okay. Now I want you to jump down No, read verse 21.
Come. Verse 21, and many of the people of Haran, about 72 men, followed Abram, and Abram taught them the instructions of the Lord and his ways, and he taught them to know the Lord.
So we see that. We have like 72 men join him from Haran. We had other men have joined him previously before that. So Abraham had a little small little army with him when he was moving, right? That's why when you read it, when he had taken Lot, he had went to go get him back because he had a military-minded men with him. But you see, he was teaching them the instructions of the Most High and the Most High ways, right? See, this goes all the way back to this time. That's when it comes to the New Testament, the apostles and them, they were called the way, or they followed with the way. It's the way of the Most High, what they were following. This goes all the way back. That's where that phrase, the way, originates from. All the way back from here, about the ways of the Most High. You don't really hear that term. Well, that's what they was calling the apostles in the book of Acts. They call them Nazarenes, and they said that they followed that way, or the way. And again, that way also goes back to Christ. Christ said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Yes, sir.
And when you pray for those, you pray for those that are out the way.
Come.
Come.
All right, go ahead, verse 22.
Come. Verse 22. In those days, the Lord appeared to Abram in Haran, and he said to him, behold, I spoke unto thee these 20 years back, saying.
Well, so 20 years back, that goes all the way back to where? What age was he when he spoke to him?
55.
55. He's 75 now. You know what he said back then, 55, to him. Spoke back to him. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Go forth from thy land, from thy birthplace, and from thy father's house, to the land which I have shown thee, to give it to thee and to thy children, for there in the land will I bless thee and make thee a great nation, and make thy name great, and in thee shall the families of the earth be blessed.
Right, so that's a family that's all related, all right? I want to come up to Genesis, Tony. Like the Genesis where you was 15. Genesis chapter 15. We're dealing with this 430 years. Where does it begin? It begins when Abraham is 70 years old when you make this covenant with him. We're going to address Jasher 2:10. Go ahead.
Chapter 7.
Chapter 15, where you are. You're in verse 8 now.
Genesis chapter 15, verse 8. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it?
So how will I know? I mean, now he's been in there, right? He came at 55. Now he's 70. You've been telling me this for 15 years. How am I going to get this land? Go ahead.
And he said unto him, take me and heifer of 3 years old, and a she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not.
So all the animals that was there, he cut them in half. Cut the animals in half, but he did not divide the birds up. Okay?
Pigeons and doves.
Huh?
Pigeons and turtle doves.
Yeah. He didn't cut the birds in half, but he cut the other animals in half. So what's happening here? He's making a covenant. All right? He's making a covenant. Right? Hold it. Let's prove this. He's making a covenant. Can we hold that? Hold where you at, Tony. Can someone get Jeremiah 39? Jeremiah, the 39th chapter, and let's get verse 10.
Jeremiah 39th chapter.
Yeah, we'll get verse 10 down to verse 20.
Right. Jeremiah chapter 39. What? It said, it ain't no verse 2.
Jeremiah chapter, you said,
Oh, that's fine, yeah, that's fine. Say it. No, go ahead. My bad, that was my bad, I was wrong. I'm saying.
everybody need to go home and take a nap. Jeremiah chapter 39 and verse what? 10. Shit, Jeremiah chapter 39 and verse 10. But Nebuchadnezzar, the Nebuchadnezzar, the captain of the guard left of the poor of the people which had nothing in the land of Judah, and give them vineyards. Hold on, brother. Libra? Hold on, brother. My writing is too much notes. It's Jeremiah 34, bro. That's what I hear. And let's get right to the point. We gotta go right to this point. All right? Jeremiah 34, let's get 18 to 20. 18 to 20? Yeah, that 4 is like a 9. Actually, 4. Jeremiah 34, 18 to 20. Yeah. Jeremiah chapter 34, 18 to 20, verse 18. And I will give the men that have transgressed my covenant, which I have performed the work which have not performed, which the covenant which I have not performed, the words of the covenant which they had made before me. When they cut the calf in twine and pass between the parts thereof. We can stop right there. So when you make a covenant, you cut the animals in half and you walk between the parts. And if you break the covenant, what happens to the animals will happen to you. Basically, you're gonna die. This is what Abraham is doing. He's cut the animals in half, but he didn't divide the birds. But there's a covenant being struck here. Okay, let's go back to Genesis chapter 15.
Why did he don't divide the doves?
Well, it doesn't say why.
Favorite animals.
Say again?
Them his favorite pets, the doves. One of his favorite pets.
One of them, yeah. And that other animal too is a very special animal. Turtle doves is another special animal. I'm trying to get the let me see, I know Leviticus speaks of this. If not, we're gonna have to continue to push on. Let's go ahead. Read on that from Genesis 15.
Genesis 15. Verse 9.
No, you're in verse 11.
There you go. Genesis chapter 15, read that verse 11. And when the fowls came down unto the carcasses, Abram drove them away.
Go ahead.
Verse 12. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, and horror of great darkness fell upon him.
Go ahead.
13, and he said unto Abram.
So someone came. Some being came, but it was a frightening horror. The being that came.
Like a dark cloud of
Terrifying. And he spoke to Abram. This is obviously an angelic being coming in this angelic form. As you can see, Abraham is not even awake. Again, when they come in angelic form, you usually pass out. You can't take them in their full angelic being. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that the seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Go ahead.
And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Go ahead.
15, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for in iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
Right, okay. So this what was written in Jasher when he was 70 years old, right? Same exact thing was written in Jasher, the 13th chapter, verse 17 and 18. Go ahead.
17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoke furnace,
A smoking.
a smoky furnace, and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces.
Right, so that's what it is, description of this angelic being, like a smoking furnace, and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. When you cut the animals in half, someone have to pass between those pieces to make the covenant. So Abraham was asleep, he didn't make the covenant, so it looked like it's Hamashiach Yahushua in angelic form. He walked between those pieces, making the covenant. All right, go ahead, Tony.
So that's equivalent to a marriage contract. Like when you get married, you got to walk between the people, go to the altar to
The
say.
contract, yeah. So Abraham didn't walk between the pieces, but this angelic being did walk between the pieces. Okay. Go ahead.
Verse 18. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying unto thee, see, have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river, Euphrates.
Right. So we read that again in Jasher chapter 13, verse 17 to 19. And at that time, specifically, Jasher says Moses was how old? 70. So the covenant, this contract was made at 70. 70. Then he left, went to Haran for 5 years. Then he comes back to Canaan at 75. But the covenant was made at 70, right? And at 70, he told him about what? When you jump up, from at 70, he told him, jump up, Tony, give me verse 13 again.
Genesis chapter 15, read verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
That's it. That's all I want. So he says, no, that thy seed. Who is Abraham's seed according to the Bible?
Isaac.
Isaac. So we're starting with Isaac, right? That thy seed shall be a land. So Abraham got the covenant at 70, and we're dealing with the 430, right? So we're going from him being 70 years old, and we're going to come to his first seed, who is Isaac, right? Can we get Genesis chapter 21, verse 5? Genesis 21, verse 5.
Genesis chapter 21, verse 5. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him.
So that means what? That means from him being 70 years old to the birth of Abraham, to the birth of Isaac, that's how long in between there?
175 years? 170?
No.
30 years.
30 years. There you go.
Okay.
30 is 30 years. 30 years. Here's what other people do. They don't count it like that. Here's how they count it. They count it when he comes back to Canaan
5 years
at
later.
75.
No,
They count at 75.
right? They thought they kind of 75, okay? We're gonna start this count to this 130. We're gonna use their chronology, but we is a 5-year difference. We're gonna get the 5-year difference when we come back to it. So they started at 75. From 75 years old to Isaac is how long?
31 years, 30 years. Wait,
30.
75 to birth of Isaac when he's 100 is how many years is that?
25 years.
25 years, right? 25. The next chronology we need Genesis chapter 25, verse 26. Genesis chapter 25, verse 26. So we got 25 years so far, right? Genesis 25, verse 26, who got it?
Genesis chapter 25 and verse 26.
Yes.
Okay, Genesis chapter 25 and verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him.
So he's 80 years. We know that the old English term for 20 is a score. That's old English, 3 scores.
60.
320, 60. So he's 60 years old when he had Jacob and Esau, right? So we have 25 plus 60 is how much? How much is that?
25 plus 60?
Yeah.
Gotta be 95?
What?
Wait, 25. Because I know 75, 25 make 100.
25. Wait, say it again.
25 plus 60.
25 plus 60 is.
Oh my God, y'all can't be serious.
That's gotta be 105.
25 plus 60.
That's okay. Let me see.
85.
85. I gotta add like
Y'all can't be serious, bro.
85.
That's bad.
I just needed the math. Like, wait, let me add it up.
Tony, you said 105. How you get over?
He said 75.
You said 100. You said a whole bunch of numbers.
I wasn't doing the math.
25 plus 60 always gonna be 85.
Yeah, do the math till I'm like, wait, let me do the
No,
math.
you said 25 plus 60.
Yeah, 60, 60.
That's 85.
85.
85.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a hard math. That's 85.
He just said 25 plus.
Plus 60, I
I
said.
mean, he just said 25 times 60.
Right. Huh. Let's get our next timeline, right? So from Abraham, 75, when we start their count. 25 was 75. The birth of Isaac is 25 years, right? He's 100. And then Isaac is 60 years old when he has Jacob and Esau, right? That's you add 60 onto that 25, you get 85. You clear? Everybody understand? If you're not clear, let me know. I can back it up. 85, right? The next timeline, let's get Genesis chapter 47, verse 9. Now you're gonna deal with the age of Jacob. We can add up our timeline here.
Genesis chapter 49.
47.
Genesis chapter 47, verse 9. Genesis 47, verse 9. Who got it can go ahead and read that.
Genesis chapter 47, verse 9.
Yeah.
And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage.
Right. So now we have Jacob says 130. This is 130 when he's coming into Egypt, when he's speaking to Pharaoh. So 85 plus 130 is how much is that? 85 plus 130 years old is going to equal how much? Okay, take your time.
215.
215. right?
Come.
So at the beginning of entering into Egypt, from Abraham being 75 years old, if you start your count there, you get 215. We're dealing with the 430 years,
Come.
right? So obviously, once they exit out of Egypt, it would have to be how long? Another 215,
Come.
right? It's 215 and 215, right?
Come.
That makes 430.
Come.
That's the 430, right?
Come.
That's why we read. I still have it up. You can see right here, me highlight it. I still have it up. But we see this 430 here has to deal with also the land of Canaan. Because Isaac sojourned in the land of Canaan, right?
Mm.
He wanted to leave and go to Egypt, but God told him, nope, stay. Right?
Come.
Jacob was in Canaan for a while. Then he left and went to Laban for a while, right?
Come.
The land's still not there. And he comes back into the land of Canaan again with his 12 sons, right?
Come.
And his whole family. Then he obviously goes down into Egypt. So you have to have and Canaan in it